Okay, broadcast is live. We had a little trouble here with my overlays, so I'm going to see if I can find one real quick. And I may not, and if I can't, that's okay. But I want to see if it's here. Let's see. Break the cage. Speed to profit. Results on a rampage. Hey, we're in good shape. All right, good. So we're starting our results on a rampage broadcast for today, August 12th, 2014, I think. Yeah. Today we're doing the final term of the results equation. I want to express gratitude for those of you that have elected to join us tonight, live and in person on the film strip. We'll be getting your comments later. So let's go back over the results equation so far. For the explanation of the differences, I'm in Edmonton, Alberta, in my international office. I'm on the 20th floor of the Scotiabank building in downtown Edmonton, which is where I'll be for the next few weeks, working here, doing a bunch of video filming and some work in Canada. I have a client up here I'm meeting with and doing some work with him, and also doing a little bit of vacationing. Had a very nice time this last Sunday. My son got married over in Abbotsford in British Columbia. Gorgeous place if you've never been there, just spectacular. The weather was spectacular. It was on an enormous farm, piece of rural property that was exquisitely manicured and taken care of. I've never been to an event that was so well organized and detailed, not even a rock concert, which are notoriously unorganized. But this was exquisitely good. Every detail was looked after, so it was a lot of fun. And on top of that, it was my boy getting married to a magic young lady. And I don't know if anybody listened to the LA Talk radio show this afternoon that I just did, but if you didn't, you should. I talked about my son. He's 22. And he's just now signed another multi-$100,000, I think, seven-figure contract with his own construction company, and entrepreneur par excellence. And I went over in the broadcast this afternoon what he's done from the time he was 18 to today, the 4 years, to create himself this company as an entrepreneur and achieve his own results on a rampage. Just astounding. Clear-headed thinking, relentless execution, powerful work ethic, and just in an astounding place for a 22-year-old kid. Mind-blowing. Anyway, so I used that example to talk about that today on the radio show. If you're interested, it should be up on LA Talk Radio already with today's date. Today, we're going to talk about relentless execution, and as usual, I have a couple of terms, mathematical terms, but before I do, let me just ask some questions. So, Griswold, what does relentless execution mean? If you just hear those two words, relentless execution.
Relentless means consistent with no excuses, and execution means actually doing it as opposed to thinking about it or getting ready to do it, just executing the plan.
Okay, good. For some reason, when I click on you, you go black, so I'm not seeing you. I see you now in the minimum thing, but when I tried to frame you up for your answer, which was a good answer, thank you, I didn't see anything except black, so I apologize for those that watch the YouTube later. Griswold is actually there. He is not all black in that picture that just showed up, but whatever. Good. So I'm going to go over the results equation terms real quick. Results, which is what we intentionally achieve, is a product of something. And I see my background switching colors like a neon light. And actually, there are no neon lights going on. For some reason, my webcam is going wacko on me, but we're going to let that go. Results comes as a very clear outcome of some specific actions. First is understanding the present, which is where we are. The second is to wake up, mental earthquake, to wake up to the possibility that there is a different future that we can create. The third is creating the future, meaning a mental image that is so powerful that it draws you towards it. And fourth is courageous planning, which is what we did last time, and tonight is relentless execution. Relentless execution has two parts. The first part is RFS. RFS. So write that one down. I'll tell you what it stands for in a minute. In my corporate career, I went to dozens of retreats, sometimes residential, sometimes for as long as a month, to, you know, executive training, sometimes at some very prestigious schools and so forth, all of those kinds of things that they send, charm school they call them sometimes, but did all that around the world. And most of them, all of them were good. Some were very good. There's one thing, and I tell you how many I went to so you'll get a sense of how important this one thing is. There's one thing that I would say out of all of those, and that is the framework for relentless execution. RFS. Ready, fire, steer. We spend so much of our lives getting ready to do stuff and then aiming. That is, researching, aiming, waiting for the right time, aiming, gathering our courage, aiming, getting all the support we need, aiming, at taking account of all the things that have changed and all that kind of stuff, and over again, so we end up with ready, aim, 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 and we never actually launch. And so RFS is ready, fire, steer. There's a couple of reasons that that's really, really important. First of all, things are changing too fast for us to imagine that we can aim a lot, okay? You have to pull the trigger and start implementing, start executing, which is why we're talking about relentless execution tonight. Sociologically, economically, and from a technical point or technological point of view, I call that set data. Glenn Dietzel, who's a guy I work with, calls it that set data. Sociological, economic, and technological trends are changing so fast that if we try to wait until we have it just right, that's going to take forever. And so we're never going to get that done. And so ready, fire, steer becomes the way to describe simply implementing and taking action and creating the opportunity to get some feedback, some accurate and correct feedback. Because here's what happens. When we keep aiming, we keep doing research, we keep thinking we're getting it just right, the market has changed, the desires have changed, the implementation strategies have changed, the target has moved, and if you keep aiming, you'll never fire. So firing, even if it isn't exactly right, will give you something you can get in no other way. So hear that, get in no other way, and that is market feedback data. Even if that feedback data is, gee, this sucks, what were you thinking? Okay, and that may be okay for a piece of feedback. You know, you thought you had it right. But imagine how much longer it would have been if you'd kept aiming for another week, month, year, century, till you were dead and buried and never pulled the trigger. All right, so that's the first one, is RFS, ready, fire, steer. The second one is EA squared. EA with the parentheses squared. And that's very simple. It stands for execute, adjust, execute, adjust, execute, adjust, etc. Okay, no one is going to get it right to start with, and besides that, the changes take place so quickly that it doesn't matter if it was right today, it won't be right tomorrow. So execution and adjustment is a key piece of correct execution. So relentless execution does not mean activity for its own sake. In fact, activity is sometimes the antithesis of action. I'll say that again. Yeah, it's an alliterative bunch of A's. Activity is sometimes the antithesis of action. Activity means just doing crap for its own sake. Action is taking focused moves in support of a particular goal. Sometimes we get caught up in activities and we do stuff that may or may not be supportive of the specific goal that we're trying to or need to achieve. So activity is not what we're talking about. We're talking about focused action that is relentless. So I picked the words, so those are the two terms, ready, fire, steer, and EA squared, execute, adjust, as many times as it takes. And the adjustments are just as much to correct mistakes as they are to take advantage from market feedback data, as they are to take into account things that you didn't know about the market that you thought you knew, or that have changed since you started. The reason I use the words relentless execution for the last term in the results equation is just that. There is no substitute for execution, for actually doing stuff, okay? Because in the doing, you find out if you do it well or if you don't. I have a friend who runs a mastermind, or a movement actually, that I'm part of, called Wake Up Warrior. He doesn't like it when we call it a mastermind, so fine, it's a movement. And his favorite thing is just to say, do crap, only he uses the other word. Just do something. And then you can figure out if it worked or not. Ship it, you know, make something and make it happen. So I'm going to ask all of you in a minute to talk about the things that you have been working on for your 90-day goals. I know Griswold had his first hangout the other day. I want all of you to sort of take some moments in a minute to comment on that. But I use the word relentless execution very carefully, because no matter how much you plan and how energized you are when it starts, when it sucks and it doesn't work like you want, you run out of energy, you run out of steam, and you might run out of external support. Partners that were supporting you may disappear, money that was behind you may dry up, you know, things happen. And so relentless execution, the examples, of course, that come to mind are Thomas Edison and 10,000 times trying to make a light bulb, and countless other people that have spent significant numbers of time. Some of the things about Edison that aren't even famous about his 10,000 effort light bulb story is there was one time when all of his factories burned down. Okay? And when all of his factories burned down, all within a few days of each other, he said, okay, good, that eliminates all of our past mistakes. And so, he started over. He's going to build them all again and do it again. He said, all right, now we have no mistakes that we've created in legacy. They're all gone. We just burned them all down. He didn't say we burned everything good up. He said, all right, we burned up all of our mistakes, so move forward. That's an attitude. So an attitude of execution, an attitude of continuing to do things, not to talk about them, not to pretend, not to plan, but to do. Relentless, there are other words that you could use, but relentless for me means what it sounds like. Relentless. You don't give up. You get up today, you try. You get up tomorrow, you try. You do it again, you do it again. Rain, spring, summer, winter, fall, snow, sleet, dark of night, all that crap. You just keep doing things. Relentless execution. If you keep moving in the direction of your goals, sometime you will get there. Okay, you will get there. That was the conclusion of Thoreau in his thing on Walden Pond, is move boldly in the direction of your dreams. The interesting thing, so I'll share one experience with you and then I'll open it up for comments. The interesting thing that Thoreau noted at the end of Walden Pond is he said, I'm paraphrasing here, he said, if you move boldly in the direction of your dreams, that the rules seem to change. The rules seem to align more in your favor. He calls it a more favorable set of rules. Some people today call that the law of attraction. Some people call it the universe lining up for you. I've done a whole lot of study about all of those things, and I've talked before with some of you about energetic inertia and about some quantum physics principles that make that seem very true. My own personal experience with it is this. In 1997, I was called with two other guys to be what they call the Three Musketeers, to build some new software and market systems for the state of California, which had never been done before. We had about 9 months to do something that should take 4 years. We didn't quite make it, but we made it almost. But here was my experience. My experience in doing that was because of this phenomenon that Thoreau identified, that there seems to be new and more favorable laws that favor those who execute, who act, is I noticed that when I did that, I simply proceeded forward, that the way always seemed to open. I thought it was in my mind only, until I had people come and say to me, how come every time, fill in the blank, you do this, stuff just happens? And then I thought, gee, I guess I'm not making this up. And this wasn't just people, these were executives, these were, big people in the industry. So I have a personal experience building a world-class $300 million experiment. It was huge, it was serial number one, it was innovative and stuff like that, involved companies from all over the world. where I literally saw that happen before my eyes. So relentless execution is the last term in the results equation. It is the reason I selected the execution mentor for my own moniker in terms of what I do both for businesses and for individuals in Break the Cage. So now I want to take a minute to just go around with everybody that's here and ask where you are on the goals that you set when we started this several weeks ago. 90 days isn't gone, but about half of it is. So we're about 6-ish, I think, weeks into this, maybe a little bit more, but not 90 days yet. And I know some of you wrote down goals, made public commitments. I know Manny did, I know Griswold did, and some others may have. So let's hear how you're doing, what your successes are, and your frustration. Grizz?
Well, my goal was to do 3 Hangouts on Air with guests by September 15th. It was roughly 90 days from when we started. And I've got 1 under my belt. This week I'm doing another show, but it's going to be just me. And I've got someone that's committed to booking but is deciding dates for an appearance. So I'll have 2 within the next 3 weeks. And I'm pretty positive I'm going to make it now.
So I want you to tell me how that feels, starting from none, because I know in the beginning you were a little bit worried about it. When you talked about it, it was, going to be a challenge for you. Now it looks like you're going to make it. What does that feel like?
I want to say that I, too, am noticing that things start to align once you take action. And, I'd heard that stuff before, and I always thought it was, yeah, right. But things do, they fall into place. It's like doors open for you, and I'm like, wow, that's...
Right quick. I told you so.
You did tell me so.
Well, they do, and I use the example that I gave you because it was spectacular. I mean, it was huge and involved dozens and dozens of companies and government offices and the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission and just piles of people. I mean, an enormous behemoth, and the same thing happened. Let's see. Manny, I know you set some goals. What are you doing?
Well, we've had some stuff come together well. The psychiatrist that trained me, Dr. Eva Ritvo, she's joined Mindful 360, so now we have a psychiatrist that's internationally known with 25 years of experience on our team. The Mindful 360 site is up and running. I did Sandra's show today, talking about how Google Plus changes you, like sort of the neuroscience of that. And I got contacted by Mark HOA Seidel to do a Saturday show about depression. I have 2 shows scheduled for tomorrow, so it feels like things are moving. It absolutely feels like things are moving.
Did the setting of the goal make a difference in what you did?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, because...
The public...
Once I had the goal set, I tend to look at stuff like data, like I said, but I knew that I had to collect my attention to the elements associated with making the deadline. So it helped me focus my attention and kind of drop off some of the distractions and prioritize more effectively.
Did making it public have a difference in how you did things?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't like public embarrassment, not one bit, so I like to achieve what I set out to. And plus, I feel as if making it public also allowed some people to put their emotional energy into it to support me as well.
So that's a couple of really important observations. One, when we make things public, we create accountability, external accountability that's different than any number of internal promises we make. And he's also made a really, really interesting observation, is it allowed other people to support as well that otherwise would not either have known or certainly done it in the same way as they did when he made a public declaration. Now, it can also bring out the haters who say, you suck, you can't do that, but you just have to deal with that, and that sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. It's a couple of really important things, observations there about making that public declaration. Kristen, did you have anything you wanted to add in terms of goals that you set, or about tonight's relentless execution?
Okay, so I told Grizz that I wanted to come on here and say, I broke the cage! But it's the wrong show.
Well,
but I
okay.
did! I broke the cage. Yeah, I'm shooting those goals right and left. I got a big one out of here tonight. Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. It's exciting to hear, and I'm really glad. Apparently, the gods of neon agree with you because my background keeps going yellow and green, which I don't know, but it's celebrating with you. So good for you. Excellent. Joy, did you make any goals, and you want to talk about your progress or anything about relentless execution?
Is my unmuting mic going to mess you up?
Go ahead.
All right. So what I find is that, you know, I have a lot of training that I need to get done, and I find that it's going to take me longer than the 90 days. And that's okay, because even though I likely won't meet that 90-day goal with that particular set of goals that I set, I'm still okay with that. It's not, for me, it's not, oh no, it's a total disaster, so I'm going to just throw the entire lot out. But I'm going to readjust that particular set of goals and take it out to where I think that I can reasonably get all the training done. But with the other goals for my skincare venture as well as my other coaching program are coming along really well. You know, so I'm making huge progress with the skincare company, and that's a real exciting one. The coaching one, I'm still, you know, I'm still figuring things out. So I've got a lot of stuff on paper, but I haven't done any execution yet. But the other two I certainly have done executing those goals. And, you know, it's exciting to at least get things ticked off, and not just ticked off, but actually done. You know, and it's just a huge sense of relief to finally be able to, you know, get these things off my plate. But ultimately, too, though, you know, especially with the training, then, you know, it's a skill that I've acquired too. So I'm pleased at my progress. And that's all I got to say.
All right, go ahead and mute. Okay, good. So what I did is I muted mine while she did, unmuted because she's here actually a little ways away in the same room. I don't know why. So this is the first time we've held a hangout from this location. When I select any of you, except me, it goes black. Yeah. No, Manny doesn't. Manny, I can see. Kristen, I can see you. Joy, for some reason. You went back and Grizz. No, here's Grizz now in for real. All right. Well, there's Grizz who did the Hangouts. He meant to be in here. Good for him. Joy, for some reason, she is not showing. There's Kristen who broke something very important today. So we're going to hear about that at another time, but that's fantastic. And there's Manny who has some additions to his team and made those announcements. So I apologize for the bit of technical snafu of them not exactly switching correctly and my dancing background. But hey, you know what? This is just a Hangout. So we're going to talk about those things that we've got done. So results on a rampage, the first piece that we did, folks, is the results equation. Okay, that's a book that I'm writing. I keep saying it'll be done in 3 months, and it will be. I just haven't decided which 3 months. But the outlines are done, and it's mostly written, but I have to get it to the publisher, who I actually already have one, said they will publish it. And I know that's a fun position to be in, but I haven't got it finished yet. But anyway, we're going to continue with these now that we have the results equation done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to also start inviting some guests on here who have accomplished certain things in their life and talk about what things were really important for them to achieve some spectacular results. So I would ask two things, both of the guests that are on today and of those that watch later on YouTube. If there's someone, either yourself or someone else that you would like to have on as a featured guest who gets to, you know, I'll interview them and we'll talk specifically about their business and the thing that they're doing. We'll spend a good bit of time, not just a couple of minutes, but a good bit of time as an interview setting talking about your results or their results. Then please recommend if you would like to be on the show, or if you would like to have someone else be on the show, let me know, and I'll reach out and get that organized, because I'd love to have those stories as well. There are several other frameworks that we'll be talking through as well in between the guests over the next several weeks, because again, the purpose of Results on a Rampage is to do two things: demystify the results process. So many people feel like you have to be lucky, that somehow in the right place at the right time is really the answer, and they minimize the power and effectiveness of the simple actions that we talked about in the results equation. The second thing is to encourage. So demystify and encourage. Demystify by explaining the processes that are necessary to get results, both my results equation and those results processes that will be illuminated by other guests, and then also to encourage, because as we see people achieving things, making goals, saying, yes, I can overcome my fears, obstacles, problems, barriers, and so forth, to move through a process of achieving results that are intentional, you know, building a business, making money, fixing relationships, whatever it is, to achieving those results, that will be what we want to do as well. So demystify, and in that process also explain and then create the encouraging setting for people to achieve results on a rampage of your own in your own life. So that's what we'll be doing in the next weeks coming ahead. I think we'll be having a guest next week, but I have some ideas about who I want, but I haven't arranged it yet, so I'm going to do that now over the next couple of days, and I would look for input about those. Let me open the mic here. Anybody that wants to please comment or say something to add to this, please do. Okay, I see a resounding massive silence. So what I'm doing here, that's okay, what I'm doing here in Edmonton is I'm not only vacationing here, but this green screen behind me is actually because I'm going to be filming a lot of videos with that camera right there, which is my Canon good video camera. I'm creating a funnel. So this is a lot to do with speed to profit marketing, which is another group of hangouts that we have. But my goals for this particular week, and I'll report on this next Tuesday, is to get this entire funnel up, which will be a series of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 or 8 videos, I can't remember, a 10 email autoresponder sequence. It's quite a spectacular pile of stuff to do, even by my standards. So we'll see if I can keep my promises to you and to myself, and I'm making this public declaration so that I have, for the same reason as was outlined earlier, I have no excuses and no escape route for failure to do that. So that's my goal for the next 7 days until we meet again at Tuesday night, Results on a Rampage. I want to remind you again, if you didn't listen to this afternoon's LA Talk radio show episode, please do take the opportunity to do that. And otherwise, we have tomorrow's Speed to Profit Marketing Hangout at noon Pacific time, and then Saturday's Break the Cage. So I'm finished. Anybody have anything to say before we shut her down?
Nope. I'm good.
Seeing no further action, everyone has been put to sleep. Hopefully the people on YouTube have more comments in the comments section. Thanks for coming, and we will see you on the next one.
Ciao.